Hey, hi, ugly duckling. Hi, Junior. I'm doing fine. I've got my watchmaker hat on. I found out with my big hats that I would block the light, so I thought, well, I was still trying to put in the second hand. Let me ask you guys: is the sound okay and the video okay? Sound and video working all right? Hi, Javi. Thanks, Junior. Thanks, ugly duckling. Oh, guys, what's up? I tell you, there was this little delay on the sound from Belgium. Okay. Sorry about that. We wear the mask. Hi, mask wearer. Okay, great. Great to hear. I've got on all of my watchmaking stuff. I have one of these things that holds on my glasses in the back when I'm watchmaking and doing stuff. And anyhow, so anyway, so like I said, this is my watchmaking outfit. Found out something else too. These are my regular glasses, but if I'm going back and forth between doing something on my computer and doing something on my working on making a watch, if I just leave this on here, this is a really overpriced eyepiece, but it really works very well. Bragging about my eyepiece. I'm still working on the just trying to get the first videos. I've got I've got the first steps done on the Brigade project. So what's on everybody's mind? What would be a good topic about watches we could talk about right now? Any chance you can give us your opinion on the 1159 from AP? Everyone seems to agree that the technical aspect, uh, but I'd love to have your opinion. You know, I gotta say, I to me the everything out of Piguet makes is really good horology. I think I don't like the offshore. I just think it's like, come on, guys, come up with another idea. And I guess the 1159 is one of the newer ideas. But I can't think of a misstep that Audemars Piguet has made as far as horology. I would love to see something more like an entry level from them, something something like H. Moser did, something for around 11, 12, somewhere in that neighborhood. Now, they are a top watchmaker, they really are. But compared to Audemars Piguet, there's almost any one of the ones from H. Moser or from any of the AHCI guys. That's what appeals to me. But that thing is a good watch. I've got on my big Wednesday. It's my H. Moser Henry double hairspring. Love this watch. Just could wear it every day, but I got too many watches I want to wear every day. Okay, I was watching your older vids on balance wheel size and beat rate. Why not just make them out of tantalum, gold, tungsten, anything heavier. There are other kinds of problems with heavier balance wheels. Right now on the new Lyrique, we're going to have a Strassmann balance wheel. We have the Strassmann balance spring that's used by MB&F, Caribou and Lana, and all of the top independents, and probably some of the ones who haven't succumbed to silicon hairsprings. So yeah, I think, oh boy, you've got you sort of have a double problem. I think if you just have more weight, you got more pressure on the pivot point, and I don't know. I don't think that would help. On the other hand, if you have a bigger one, made out of brass or gold or something like that, and like that, just the part of the inertia is not just from the weight, but also from the size. I think you get the better inertia that way. But anyway, so that's for that. What do you have you guys really looked at some of the independent watchmakers? This is what so many people really haven't looked into them. The other day, somebody, and including some of the older ones, not really old, but early 21st century ones like Roger Dubuis and Daniel Roth, those are just really, really beautiful, beautiful watches. And they're more affordable. I mean, now things sort of like the entry level for every time was 20,000 for a chronomet souverain. And that was great. There, you can't get those things. I think now they're bumped up to 40,000. Just that's the entry level, and they can't keep up with all people complain about with FP Journe. Isn't the price? It's a waiting list. They got to wait a couple of years if they have the price. How you doing, Adam? Heavy and magnetic. How about non-magnetic? You can just have a big enough one for it, just a bigger one. Because that's what your inertia comes in. Okay, so what else is going on with watch collection that you guys? Yeah, I just realized this looks like a cyborg or something with all of those things and ah. Hi, 1 minute. How you doing, Grandpa? Whew. Okay, come on. There's got to be something about watches that we need to talk about, that we need to fix immediately and do something about. How many of you have ordered the parts for the our wannabe brigade that we're making for sort of the wannabe brigade classic? Any of you get the order the parts for that? I got all of my parts in except one, and that's the hands. I'm gonna try I think the second hand I think I have a second hand that'll work with it, and I'm trying to put that thing on. Once I get the second hand on, I'm pretty much of a happy camper. How about you guys? I hear a deafening silence. I guess not. What are some other things? What is something new that you found that's really good? I mean, good in the following ways. First of all, it's a decent price. In other words, it's within your wheelhouse as far as affordability, without having to go out and pay for what they call a family attorney. Second of all, it's affordable. It's got a good movement in it. And by a good movement, oh boy, I've been finding more and more of the certain classes of ETAs and even Salida movements are pretty good. Calypso, I'm not too sure about them. Some they've been used in some good watches, but uh, Iteen Iteen Schwartz has a deal now that you can buy one of their two movements, either the automatic with the micro rotor or getting the double barrels in parallel. That is, boy, I tell you, that would be a project that would be fun to jump on. I just got home yesterday from Kentucky. I'm ordering parts today. Okay. Straps. I'm looking for fun straps. You know, Adam, a bunch of people told me about this place, and I didn't think too much about it. When I say I didn't think about it, I mean that literally, not like I thought it was crummy or good. I just didn't think about it. And today I ran across it, and the place that I ran across it was at the let me see, the watch outlet. The watch outlet had a little thing that says we got a bunch of these. Hang on a second, I'll see if I can find the name of it. And it looked like they have. Let me see if I can see if they still have it here. Yeah, it's called the Lugs. Just about everybody knows about that. Um, and they partnered with the watch outlet, which has got great prices. Yeah, a second. Um, I don't care about the partnership. Hang on, let me find it for you. So, here we go. Ah, colors. Okay. Boy, I guess you have. Well, I'm just going to go learn more. Okay, I guess you got to go right to Deluxe. All right, Deluxe. Okay. Now, Deluxe may look expensive at first. Let me put the URL for you guys here. Deluxe. But if you compare them to Jean Rousseau, which is my favorite, in fact, Jean Rousseau or to ABP Concept. By the way, this is an ABP Concept. It's a very dark green. And I got the one I got for it had a deployant buckle, and I usually like deployants, but I didn't like the one I got, and so I took it off and I put on the original uh, H. Moser buckle that had gone with the original buckle. And there's this one band at ABP Concepts that's even better than these better than Deluxe price wise, and it's a series of gator straps they have, and they're $96 a pop, which isn't bad really. And the ones at Deluxe, um, let's see what they got here. For a matte alligator, they're 165, uh, which is pretty good. I mean, compared if you go to one of these other places, they're more expensive, except for ones that you have to know where to look for. If you put in gator strap, you can find them at this one. The other ones they go from $96 up to 300 and something, and so like well. Um, so anyway, so far as straps are concerned, that's sort of what I'm going with right now. I'm from India. Here's some of the big native brands are HMT and Titan. These are cost-minded companies since most of the Indians don't invest in watches. Okay. Yeah, that's something else too. That you can solve a lot of problems that way. Uh, there, I don't know where the lugs are made, but both Jean Rousseau and ABP Concepts are Paris brands. There is a shop in New York City where I had a bespoke band made for what was it? Bugari Romo Octo Roma, and those things are very complex bands, and so it was expensive to have it made, but it was worth it. This one, on the other hand, this is pretty much an off the shelf, size and everything, and like I said, it came with the deployant, and I didn't like the deployant thing, so I put on the pin buckle on it. Hi, Adam. The NYC for Jean Rousseau is such a fun time, though. I agree, Adam. I tell you who I ran into there was Michael Kalp. Michael was up from Florida and Point South. He happened to be there, and my God, I think he ordered half the store. But there were a lot of there's certain watches. Now, my favorite watch band from Jean Rousseau is the one that I got for my Larique. But I figured, oh, while I'm at it, I got one for ABD Concept. I also got one for our project watch, the wannabe brigade. So anyway, any recommendation for good watch forums on Facebook or Instagram? Sure. High Horology Lounge, of course. It's on Facebook. Hey, Abdul, how you doing? Boutiques in Las Vegas. I have heard more things about Las Vegas. Las Vegas and Miami apparently are two really great watch towns for if you're looking for them. Another one too is Philadelphia. Um, in addition to having Gov, what are they called? Gov Bros or something like that. They also have Martin Pulley there in Philadelphia, so that's another good place. Hi, Dubai expat, how you doing, man? Hi, Britt. What are your thoughts on the Vestron Content 10 overseas? Still one of my favorite watches ever. The new one, the one when I say the new one, I'm talking about the one that came out in 2016. That movement is just a sweet, sweet movement. There's the funny thing about that, in 2016 when it first came out, I took my old overseas and I was going to trade it in. Well, he wouldn't take trade-ins at the New York boutique. So I sort of more or less kept mine and left my overseas. But I really wanted one of those for a while. But I found something that I liked even better. And when I was trying on the overseas in the Vestron Constantin boutique that they used to have up on Madison Avenue, and now I think they're over on 50th something between Fifth Avenue and Madison. Um, they said, "Well, try this what was that called? Quadrille," and it was one that had the same movement. It wasn't quite as fancy. It only had two straps instead of three. And so I tried it on, and I liked it better. And I still may get one of those. My problem is that I already got a sports watch. I'm not much of a sports watch guy. I've got the one that I have is one I really like, and that's a Roger Dubuis Sympathy, one of those big ones. I'll wear it my next big watch Wednesday. Um, But I'll tell you, I love that movement. That movement, the overseas movement, is really tip top. Boy, I sort of went on off on it, didn't I? Oh, good. Okay, Suda, man, we'll have you in a second. Hey, Thomas, how you doing, man? Your thoughts on the best? Okay, on the 56. That's a little more problematic. On the one hand, I really, really, really like the 56, and here's why. What Vacheron Constantin has done with the 56, they have provided an entry level into that level of horology. Um, and they've done it without a drop of silicon. Anyhow, so I'm very high on that. Now, a lot of people say, well, they don't have the two things. They say, well, all of the other Vacheron Constantin watches have the Geneva seal. The entry level 56 doesn't, but the next level 56 does. And here's why. The the base movement for the 56 is one that I think was originally from Cartier. Now, Cartier is owned by the Richemont Group, who also owns Jaeger-LeCoultre, and they also own Vacheron Constantin. So what they did is that they put together, they have sort of like a movement making unit called Val Fleurier, and Val Fleurier makes all their movements, and so they're not ending up with some, not a lesser than movement. So they had, I think, the same movement was also used in the Piaget and one of the Cartiers, as well as the Vacheron Constantin 56. What they did, when I move my hands in a certain way, these things come up, bubbles. I don't know if you see them or not, but anyway. So the Vacheron Constantin, in the worst way, wants its independence. And I think Richemont is smart enough not to sort of do what Swatch did and make all of them have a silicon hairspring. So Richemont didn't say, okay, everyone's got to have one of the Val Fleurier movements. Well, so what Vacheron Constantin did, they said, okay, yeah, we'll take that movement, but we're going to put our own work on it ourselves. And so they ended up with a watch that I think is a great buy. I really do, for entering into sort of the higher level of horology. I'll put it that way. Mark J, how you doing, man? Hey, Abdul. I love ABP straps. HD straps are also good. Yeah. I want to try a strap from Losa straps from Vietnam, but still didn't order one. I tell you, there are some really good straps from different shops in Asia. Um, my only concern with any strap coming from outside of the country, and this includes ABP Concept Paris, is the sites. Sites will get them. I hope not, but I think you could find some really good straps, Abdul, and much better prices. What are the pros and cons of silicone hairsprings? Oh man, oh God, this is I. Let me give you the pros. Okay, the pros of silicone hairspray is one, they're not as affected by heat and cold as much as hairsprings made from transitional metals. Silicon is a metalloid, all right, and so and I'm sure the development of the silicon hairsprings was cost them a few pretty penny, but overall they're cheaper to manufacture once you get them, once they got the process worked out. And so you have something that is totally non-magnetic. That's another plus. And so they're not affected by magnetic interference. All right. And so basically, they put them in. Don't expect, or here's the downside to me. I mean, there is the downside is that you can't regulate them with simply with a curb regulator. You've got to, I think the way they're regulated, if something goes wrong with the hairspring, you send it in and they put a new hairspring in. Okay. The other thing, and to me, which is much more important, they keep talking about progress and so forth. Forget about it. Progress, we didn't get into these kinds of watches, mechanical watches, for progress. Progress is a smartwatch. My wife's got a smartwatch that's always right. Okay. I've got one. This is pretty right because of a double hairspring takes away uh, the torque that you get in the post, pushing it one way or the other. That and the brigade, what do they call it, the brigade coil on it. So I mean, it's like keeps really good time. And so if there has to be some adjustments, and God forbid yet you have to adjust double ones, but you do sometime, and you can adjust them. You can't do that with the silicon hairspring. It's probably easier. Say, hey Joe, give me a couple of those silicon hairsprings off the shelf. We'll just slap it in here, and Bob's your uncle. That's it, for from a watch producer's point of view, that's probably a better deal. We'll charge them the same amount that we had charged for a good hairspring. The other thing too, for some reason, Rolex, even though Rolex was part of the junta that made the silicon hairspring, the three were Rolex, Patek Philippe. Patek Philippe to me is that's just one of my favorite, former favorite. One of my favorite watches before 2009 when I started stuffing a silicon in there. So I don't know. I those are the pluses and minuses for me. If you like this stuff, you'll have an accurate watch, not as accurate as a quartz. $5 quartz is more accurate. And again, what are they? Silicon and oxygen make up quartz. So, but if you want it, you can have it. All right, enough of that. When did you decide to buy your second watch? From where did the influences strike you? A person of a movie? Oh God, not from a movie. No. Well, no, my second watch was another Timex when I was a kid. It's a long time ago. But really, when I started getting serious about watch collection, the first one I bought was a Patek Philippe um, Calatrava. Got a beautiful one. It was an older one, gold, time only. It was a wonderful watch, and winding it felt like the stem was in sort of just a stack of jewels. It was a smooth watch in every way, but it's pretty small. And also, people told me, so you got to be careful with that watch because you bang it around, you'll be in trouble. You got to get a sports watch, for everyday use. So that's how I ended up with my overseas. Okay. I'm feeling that now this industry is forcing people to buy another watch. Oh, I I never felt that way before I got into watch collection. And once I got into watch collection, I went insane. Oh, let's see. Do you think a Brigade Marine with the was right before the silicon switch? I don't. I tell you, I think to save its soul, I would love to see brigade traditions going back to using your using sort of transitional metals out instead of silicon. I mean, here they got something that looks like Abraham Louis Breguet made, and then they stick in silicon. Why not a plastic you can save money on that too. And it's plastic is totally, they can make the plates out of plastic, and it's lighter and it's not magnetic. It's just, I don't know. I wish they would do that with some of them. Rolex is really funny about it. They, bless their golden hearts, that they kept their parachrome hairsprings in most of the men's watches. I guess that 1909 or 1908 they came out. That was sort of the replacement for the Cellini. That one's got a silicone hairspring, and I think one of the women's watches have it. But I don't know. I really, as long as they have the parachrome hairspring, I'm all for Rolex. As soon as they get rid of it, they're going to, you know, they go into the wrong side of the tracks with Patek Philippe. Patek Philippe makes beautiful watches, but it's sort of like, why stick that in there if you can make watches that good? Okay, you just bought a watch with a ruhenium dial and movement. Okay, Adam? Who make that watch? So, what are your thoughts on the AP code? Oh, I already answered that. I think the AP code is fine. Hi, big black clock. Your message was retracted. Okay. The AP Marvel Concepts Tourbillon. It's not for me. I guess somebody with sort of a budget of a Wall Street budget and a middle schooler's taste, that would be a great watch to have. To get their Marvel APs. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Marvel comics, but I mean, enough was enough. I think what if people want it, if it makes them happy, why not? I'll put it that way. I'm not. I am no one to judge. I mean, anybody who wears berets shouldn't judge other people at all. FP Journe, yeah, they're FP Journe. The only problem with FP Journe, I think they just sort of shot this. Here's the problem with FP Journe, and it's not their problem; it's our problem, really. They, for some reason, their popularity during the pandemic went through the ceiling. I have no idea why. Maybe people stopped long enough and say, "Oh, you mean there's something beyond Rolex?" And they started looking around and found FP Journe. So they started buying all these FP Journes. Not only did they suck up all the supply, but they shot up the price at the same time. Now, that wasn't FP Journe's fault. They could say, "Well, why don't they make more?" They're not like Rolex. They're not even like Patek Philippe. Patek Philippe makes what, 50,000 watches a year, and Rolex makes 1.5 million. You know, I tell you, the selling a hunk of FP Journe to Chanel, I think, is a good move because Chanel has those same values. The My Chanel right now is at the watch getting it's getting serviced. Okay, took some 6 months. That's a lot. This is from my monsieur, which is what's his name? Romain Gauthier had a hand in. Hey, Frank, I judge everyone. Good for you. Is there a brand that you aren't fond of? They make a watch that you, but they make a watch that I'd buy. I can't think of any. I can think of brands that I wouldn't buy from because I just don't trust them for one reason or another. But if but so far the ones I don't like or don't trust, I haven't seen one that I'd want to buy, and I'm not going to tell you who they are. I love the Lang 1850. So do I. that is a watch I really like a lot. You know, if I didn't have so many really good dress watches, I'd get one. But I do. I have my, well, beside my Larique, I've got my Langenheim. Uh, oh God, what is it? Jurgen. My Jurgen something. God, I have so many dress watches, but boy, that 1815, that's a sweet one. You started building your watches, Frank? Yes, I have. The one that were for the group. Um, this, in fact, I got to be careful here. Um, I've been making tools for it too. Let me show you what I've done. Be very careful with this. Ooh, right here, I can't. This right here is a toothpick, and it's got a little Rodico putty on the top. I have attached the dial to the movement. This is an enamel dial, and then here I have been slowly but patiently getting the second hand on. And I'm going to put this back before I drop something. The other day I was showing everybody this. What I saw was they had something that looked like this, okay, a little V in it. And I've seen these before that are used for removing hands. What you do is you have the hand remove. I have a couple different hand removers. The one I like best is like a little bar, just got a little hook on the bottom, and you leverage off the hands. But you put this in there so that the part that you're leveraging off the hands with doesn't touch the dial, so you don't mess up the dial. But I saw somebody with one of these using it for putting on the second hand. And what they did is that they put this point right here, right over where the second hand goes. And I guess it helps them to sort of position it or something. So what I did, I just took a plastic bottle, and I have some other, I cut this off of a water bottle, and this off of something a little heavier, and so I can make different tools with this that are sort of funky little tools for making things work the way I want to, and and so I have started it, yeah, and I took a bunch of pictures about the steps for how you put the dial on. Once you put the dial on, and then once you get the second hand on, the only other part that is hard, putting on the hour hand and the minute hand isn't quite as hard. Putting on the other hands, there are these little tabs with little screws, and they attach the watch to the case. That's hard to do too. So I've been making all of these tools that are coming up with ideas and looking how other people have done it, and sort of in preparation for it. But once that's done, the rest of the making a watch isn't hard. And I've already got the band on order, so that's not hard either. Okay, what you got here? Yeah, I wouldn't want. Abdul, I wouldn't want to buy one of those brands that use an in-house movement based on a Seiko. One exception to that, Abdul, I think, is the Soprod A10. That is a wonderful movement. What they did with the Soprod A10, that was Seiko's first it was called a 4L, and they were going to go into high horology. It didn't go over so well because people weren't used to that price who bought Seikos. So they had some deal with, with Soprod, I guess. I'm trying to think who owned Soprod at the time. I don't remember now. I know Festina owns them now. And that is a good movement. But the best part about it was that they made the size of the movement so it would fit where one of the basic ETA movements always went. And so the people, so I don't want to have to, remill all of my cases or redesign them all. So they said, well, you don't have to. You can use the same ones that you use for that. I like the A10, and that is based on a Seiko. Hello, Stephen from Detroit. David H. I favor watches more and more with time. Oh, no pun intended. Hi, HRM. Just picked up a Vulcan Cricket 1947 introduction, only $800. Yes. That's a neat watch. That's a neat watch. It just reminded me of something. Oh, good, Frank. The dial feet, yeah. Here's if you have the movement and the right size dial for the movement, all you have to do is put the 3 o'clock where the stem is, and then sort of move it a little, and you'll feel the feet fall right into the hole. If the center hole is on the post that's used for the hour and minute hand, and then you can move the 3 right to where the stem is. The dial feet should fall into the holes. Then you hold it down and turn it over, and then there are these half screws. All that part I've done all of the photography for and shown how to do it. That part's not hard. You have to be careful not to over tighten it, because you might even snip off one of the feet. You don't want that to happen. Yeah, but this is a lot of fun. Do you have a watch collection strategy, or you just buy watches as they appeal to you? Sort of, Thomas, there's certain watches that I really like and would like to sort of either that or check boxes that I have. Oh, I'd want one of these, I'd want one of these. What I found is certain ones that just for a checkbox, like I bought a $200 a regulator from China, from Hong Kong. It's called Perpetual Watches. Neat little place. I could, if I wanted a tourbillon, I'd go there too. But for the most part, it's something sort of a combination of things. This one I got for the double hairspring. I'm glad I did. I'm glad I got it when I did. They're now about twice what I had paid for this one. And I got this one new and now used. The price really went up a lot. But and then if I'll see something I like, there's certain things, yeah, that I have, but I wouldn't call it a strategy. I'd call it more like a growth. A watch collection to me is more organic, and that you get certain things, and you get to a certain place in your watch collection, then you discover things once you're at that place that you may not see ahead of time. So that's sort of how I do it. It's more organic and not like, I put out a spreadsheet and need this and this and this. Hey, Forbin, getting a second hand on can be torture. I know. Only 30 tries. You're a smart guy. I'm on my 56, I think, and I'm working on it. One of the things that helps more than anything else is good light. And this is my setup. This is my getup for doing that. I even had to have a hat without a rim so that the light doesn't get in the way. And then I made my toothpick tool with a little bit of Rodico putty on the end. I'm going to put it there, and I got to turn on as much light around it as I can, and then try to put it right over that little post that they have for the thing. And once I get it in, it's what I found out but I just do it a little at a time. I couldn't do it more than 5 or 6 tries, and then I'll sort of step back and then come back again and give it 5 or 6 more tries, and then come back until I finally get it. Sometimes this one guy was showing how to do it. He says sometimes you get lucky, and he was showing how to do it. He didn't get lucky, so he kept doing it. He finally got it. But sometimes he's right. You can just lay it down. You have this little. The thing that's hard about a second hand is that you have like at the tip of the second hand, you have a little post, and there's a hole in that post, and then you got a post sticking up, and you have to go post to post, and then have this little bitty post over the little bitty hole, and with a little bitty hand, and that's hard. There was this one guy who I really liked. He said, "You know what?" He said, "A microscope's really a game changer." I bet it is. I might end up with a microscope. Hey, HRM, building an ETA 2892A2, one of my favorite ETAs. This is the one. No, I think it's. I don't know if that's the one. Trying to think. That may have been the one that the Soprod A10 was aping. I'm not sure. Making my own dials, so still a long way and challenging project. The winding mass is solid platinum. Woo, boy, and the rotor bearing will be updated to ceramic. Very nice. Frank James using a Solita. Yeah, Solitas. When I did my first watch, I think I used this. Yeah, I did use a Solita. I lost so many parts of the Solita that they went into the parched black hole. I was working away, and something would go pop, and it disappears. Yeah, I think you're right, Abdul. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. I wouldn't. Yeah, I think you're right about somebody. Well, I got a great one, and they put one of the lesser Seikos in there. On the other hand, that 4L that they used with Soprod, I agree. The other one, not so much. I agree with you. Hey, Smoko, very interested to hear you speaking about Seiko 4L. I have one in a Seiko 6.2 Moss RE edition. It has the same dial feet locations and size as an ETA 2892. Winds smoothly and instant date time. Yeah, that's a nice movement. It's 5:45 in the UK. Is that tea time, Frank? When I was at an academic institution in England for a while. I used to break at a certain time for tea time. I don't remember what time it was. What's your opinion on German watchmaker Grieb and Benzinger? I think they make nice dials, but they're on the pricey side. GT, I agree. They make beautiful dials and cases. I'm not sure where they are on the watches. I mean, on the movement. So I just don't know. Hey, Bodan, how you doing? Any thoughts on plastic crystals versus sapphire? I have been finding myself loving my plastic crystal watches lately for the lack of glare and warm feeling. I like sapphire crystals. I don't have any. There's something beside plastic that they used before sapphire on crystals. It was there wasn't plastic and it wasn't sapphire, it was something else. Husserite or some strange thing like that. But I like everything about the sapphire crystals. I love to try painting a dial to get the numerals I want. Patek did it with their 5212. Is the 5212 the one that looked like somebody did it by hand that they had there. Somebody had done a mock-up of it, and but it was sort of like however the mock-up, and they liked it so much that they adopted that style. It's late night here. Okay. Ask something about India. Oh, you guys have the half hour thing too. So in India, it's about, oh my goodness, it's late at night and a half an hour earlier or later than we are here. Hey, James. Mineral glass. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Plexiglass are beautiful as they can have a nice curve, but they scratch easily. Yeah. I like the idea of titanium used for everything from the hands to the gear train, just to reduce weight and increase power. It's funny. The reduction in weight of titanium takes the heft out of a lot of watches I like. I tried on a bunch of or they Laurent Ferrier watches, and I just didn't like them because they were too light. It was titanium, though, is a great. I reviewed a titanium watch recently and it had pretty good heft. Mineral glass, plastic are beautiful. They can also, yeah. A Beauvais video with the CEO said they switched out a lot of components with titanium just for that. Beauvais is one of those. They have this watchmaking outfit they call Demier, and they're doing a lot of interesting things, and my Beauvais works wonderfully well, and it has a sort of made for the case size movement in it, but I didn't know that they were working with titanium for that. Okay. What's the most accurate watch you've owned? Let's see, I can tell you a couple. One is my Harboring 2. Another one is my Langenheim. Another one is my Larique. Another one is this one. After I got it back from service, my FP Journe Chronomet Souverain. Those are all really accurate watches. Frank James, I was going to use an ETA, but the model I wanted, 2824, was a bit too thick at 4.6 millimeters. Yeah, I think wasn't that one of the advantages of the 2829? It was a little thinner. Solita was 3.9 millimeters. So hi, Eric. What motivated you to get a Harry Winston bi-retro? What's the story behind that acquisition? I was fortunate enough to have two very good conversations about the bi-retro. One of them was with a guy who worked for Girard-Perregaux. He dug up the specs that were used on that Girard-Perregaux, on that Harry Winston for the Girard-Perregaux they had, and also I contacted Agenor and asked them, could they tell me anything about the bi-retrograde? So, oh yeah, Jean-Marc Viereck did the retrograde. Plus, I just like the looks of it. Here you had a 30-second retrograde. So if you want to watch a retrograde work, that thing, it's not like what are those called, a Forodoro, something like that. This one's just going like that, and I thought it would wear it out, but it's not. The way in which Jean-Marc Viderec made the retrograde on my Harry Winston. They used what's called a snail cam, and I've started playing around with a snail cam that I made out of cardboard. And the way it works is really cool. It's sort of it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it gets small. And so when it drops off, that's when it pops back. And it just, I don't know, there's so many cool things about it. This is the thing. Harry Winston, they never settled for a second rate um, movements in any of their watches. And then when they had the Opus line, God, I'll tell you, I don't know, Swatch, I don't know, just I wish Swatch hadn't have bought them, but they did. And I wish, Patek Philippe hadn't used silicone hairspray, but they did. What are you going to do? I don't know. What do you think about recycling old high-end movements? Imagine a sub 1500 USD watch with a JLC Piaget or Frederick Piaget movement. I'm sort of like, for yourself. If I'm going to make a watch for myself and just want to have fun with it, that's one thing. Doing that and selling them because somehow you can make more money that way, I don't think there's no horology that I get excited about by doing that. Zenith Defy. Yeah. Yeah, that's like, so those things beat up the movement like a rented mule. I'm not crazy about that. I don't know. See, the thing about having this high frequency, yes, you can get more accuracy, but you look at you look at a quartz, the frequency of a quartz, and they're like vibrated 32,000 hertz, and they're talking about 5, 6, 7, 10 hertz. It's like, what are you really doing? I would rather have something 2.5 hertz by Philippe Dufour or H. Moser or any one of these with this really beautiful stuff going on that you can see better. But that's me. Ooh, bronze. That sounds interesting. Like I said, Abdul, I think titanium, it is lighter and so forth. And I guess this case that I looked at recently, this watch I looked at, in fact, I think I did a review on that. I think it was the one by Genta, the new Genta. And that was titanium, and it had a nice heft to it, so I liked it. Hi, Michael. What do you think of Watchbox buying a majority position in De Bethune? Do you think the crazy jump in prices could empower other used watch dealers to buy independents? I didn't know De Bethune had a jump in price. If they're, I think, when Hermes bought 25% of Vaucheur, they didn't do it to save money. They did it to have a connection with some really excellent movements. When H. Moser bought a hunk of Agenor, they did it so they'd have access to one of the, probably, I think, the greatest chronograph movement around. And so when you have a bind like that, that will somehow improve access to really great horology, that's one thing. When you buy something so you can jack up the price and make more money, I don't think much of that. So that's my opinion. I'm not going to, look, if I were running a business, I might do the same thing as a business person. but I'm a watch collector. There's a big difference. Hey, Frank, with my watch, I'm making the prototype with brass and copper. If that's successful, the next thing gold. Yeah. Yeah, no, that would be cool. I was looking at another 30-second retro as well. This one is the Piaget Imparador Automatic. Sounds good. Heft is not important to me as well. Is important as well. I think lightness of a watch is appreciated when it's slim. With a certain, this thing's got heft that's made out of white gold, and there's no doubt about the heft on it. It's not necessarily this much heft. This heft is fine with me since I like it in general, but rather I like it because it seems that a lot of times cheap watches feel cheap, and heft makes it. Maybe they ought to get cheap watches and put a couple rocks in it so people like me like the heft. But that's what I always associate is the quality, associate it with quality. Not that they had a jump in price, but Watchbox made a lot of money on other brands going up. Sure, everybody selling watches did. Yeah, yeah. No, that was that was one of the things that happened. Is there another watch collector who's also a fountain pen collector by chance? And sort of was at one time, and now I appreciate nice fountain pens. This is my Pelican, and I've got a Waterman and a very nice Parker too. But I don't know. That's not much of a pen collection, but I do love fountain pens. Hey, Chiller, how you doing? Contemplating JLC rendezvous for my wife. Ooh, lucky wife. Yeah, that's a neat one. I like that. Okay. Bitten by the same bug, huh? Okay, guys. Well, let's see. My God, we've been yapping for over an hour. Anyway, I just thought it'd be a good time to have it. Let me let's see what you got. I'll have one more and see. One of the biggest things I've encountered in making up the tooling in jigs, so time consuming, labor intensive. Frank, that's a good thing, and I'll tell you why. At least I think it's a good thing because you won't go be blowing all your money on more watches. What else are we going to do if we're watch collectors? Anyway, all right, guys. Well, listen, hey, thanks, Abdul. It's always good to have you anywhere, everywhere I go, and good to see the rest of you guys. Take care. I'm off now.